All right, so I had a project where I needed to cut a lot of angle iron, and I was using my standard chop saw, and it was going really slow. You were heating up the metal to where it wasn't wanting to cut properly, and it was annealing it, so it was harder to drill out afterwards. And I was aware that there are specific cut saws that have a lower speed to run carbide teeth blades, and I thought that would be great, but there really isn't anything there to be able to do miter cuts quickly. But the technology on the blades should work with a standard miter saw. So I looked for my 12-inch saw, and unfortunately the blades themselves are not rated to run at those type of RPMs. However, this little Kobalt saw that I picked up years ago, it was about 120 bucks, something like that at the time, and I think they're still going for about that same price, with about a $30 Diablo blade. Actually works pretty good. So the saw itself runs at about 5,000 RPM. The blade is rated for 5,800 RPM, so we're well within the recommended cutting speeds of the blade. It's relatively cheap. It actually does a good job of cutting cleanly. You have the standard indent or detents for being able to do 45 degrees and 50 degrees. Actually 50 degrees on either direction, and then 45 in either direction for your tilt. So if you do need to do compound miters, this is pretty much the only way to go. The chop saws are meant specifically for metal. I think there's one for like $1,000 that actually allows it to be a compound miter saw. And for as little metal cutting that I do, I rather sacrifice a cheap saw than buy a big expensive one. Now when I say sacrifice, this portion right here is made out of plastic. You can see I've done some cutting with this, and the chips have melted into that. And then over here on the back where the plastic is, it's melted the markings on the back. So there's a little bit of sacrifice. Same thing with over here on the face where the markings are, that plastic portion, the protective plastic, the chips melt into a little bit. That said, it cuts way more accurately, way cleaner than an abrasive saw. The end results on there are nice and clean. There's no burrs, there's no follow-ups that I need to do. It's a nice clean straight edge. The other advantage too is you can slide this. So when I do my initial cut, I like to come down through the top here and then come back over here and then cut from the front back, so that I'm taking a small kerf on the chips. Makes it cut a little bit faster, and you don't have to put as much downforce, which again, this is still a something that you want to be careful. You don't want to just start slamming it down in like it's wood, because there is the potential for it to catch and do nasty things. The other portion too is it does shoot off little metal chips, which aren't that bad, but they are hot and annoying. So I've got welding sleeves on and gloves, and then of course eye protection and ear protection, because it is still pretty loud. It is running at a high RPM. If you get the big 14-inch chop saws, that is kind of one advantage, is that it's running at, although the tip speed is about the same, you have the option of having coolant and things like that on there, which would be an advantage, but it's still, as I'll show after I get done with this cut, not too bad. So we'll go ahead and cut this. Put my eyes on, they were starting to fall. All right, and there you have it. There's a nice clean cut. And then it's still cold enough that I can put my fingers on it. It's still warm. You don't want to do it for very long, but it's a lot cooler than abrasive. And if you look at that, it's nice and straight all the way through. Really easy to butt up against another piece and do a weld where you're not having to do much cleanup. So it saves you a huge amount of time in that regard. If you have any other questions or any other videos you'd like me to cover, feel free to reach out, let me know. Thanks again, have a good day.